Control how they see you, or they will. People don't see the truth. They see the version of you that you allow them to see. Think about it. Why do some people walk into a room and immediately command attention while others are ignored? It's not luck. It's not chance. It's deliberate. Napoleon knew this. Machiavelli wrote about it. Steve Jobs mastered it. They didn't just let people form opinions about them. They shaped those opinions. They controlled how the world saw them. Right now, people already have a perception of you. But here's the question. Did you create that perception? Or did someone else? Because if you're not in control of how people see you, that means someone else is. And when someone else controls your image, they control your influence, your respect, and ultimately, your power. Are you the architect of your own image, or just a character in someone else's story? The power of perception, master it or be controlled. History's greatest leaders all mastered one thing, perception. They didn't leave their image to chance, they shaped it, and the world followed. It's about perception. Napoleon wasn't just a brilliant strategist. He was a master of image. He painted himself as an unstoppable force, carefully curating how people saw him, both in victory and defeat. Machiavelli didn't just observe power, he deconstructed it. He wrote The Prince to teach rulers that control over perception is the foundation of influence. Make people fear you, admire you, or depend on you, but never let them ignore you. Steve Jobs didn't just sell technology, he sold a vision, the black turtleneck, the minimalist presence, the dramatic pauses, every move calculated to make you believe he was the future. None of these men left their image to chance. They shaped it. They mastered it. And because of that, the world bent to their will. Now ask yourself, are you crafting your own perception, or are you letting others define you? If you don't craft your own image, someone else will do it for you. And when they do, it will be on their terms, not yours. 1. Perception is a weapon. Control. Perception, control power. Reality doesn't matter, perception does. The one who controls perception controls power. Perception dictates power. It's not about reality, it's about how people see reality. The person who shapes perception holds influence, no matter their actual competence. Think about someone who instantly commands respect the moment they walk into a room. Now think of someone who, no matter how much they try, is constantly overlooked. The difference isn't intelligence or skill, it's perception. The psychology of perception. People don't see the world objectively. Our brains filter reality through bias, past experiences, and expectations. Research from Princeton University shows that within 1/10 of a second, we decide whether someone is trustworthy, competent, or worth listening to. Before you even speak, people have already made their judgment. That's why perception is a weapon. Used strategically, it shapes how others react to you before you say a word. How to control perception in any situation. 1. Own the room. Before you speak, your body language speaks before you do. Walk in with purpose. Take a second to pause before talking. Stillness conveys power, fidgeting signals insecurity. Confidence isn't about how you feel, it's about what you project. 2. Frame yourself before others. Do. If you don't control the narrative, others will define it for you. Ask yourself, how do I want to be perceived? Assertive, mysterious, a leader? Then speak, dress, and move accordingly. Before presenting an idea, pre-frame your authority. I've worked on this for years. Here's what I've found that actually works. Now, before you even make a point, people already view you as an expert. 3. Use silence as a power move. Most people rush to fill silence out of discomfort, But controlled silence builds tension and makes others second-guess themselves. Next time someone challenges you, pause. Let them feel the weight of their words. It makes you look unshaken and puts them on the defensive. The hidden power of perception manipulation. Most people react to how they're seen. But if you control perception, you stop playing defense, you dictate the game. Up next, the psychological tricks to creating an aura of unquestionable authority. 2. The power of absence. Make people desire you by creating scarcity. Scarcity creates value. If you are always available, your worth declines. Have you ever noticed that people chase what they can't have? Luxury brands don't just sell quality, they sell exclusivity. A Rolex or a limited edition Ferrari isn't just desirable, it's desirable because it's rare. Now, apply this to yourself. If you're always available, always saying yes, always present, people take you for granted. But if you master strategic absence, you create an aura of exclusivity that makes people crave your presence. The psychology of scarcity and value. Behavioral studies show that people desire something 30 to 40% more when they believe it's scarce. Why? A text left unanswered feels more important than one replied to instantly. A person who is harder to meet seems more valuable than someone always around. A leader who speaks less commands more attention. Absence creates presence. The less accessible you are, the more people notice when you're there. How to apply the power of absence in real life? 1. Become less predictable. If you're always in the same social circles, always the first to respond, always available, you become ordinary. Instead, remove yourself occasionally. Let people wonder, where are they? What are they doing? 2. Leave at the peak of interest. TV shows end on cliffhangers for a reason. They keep people wanting more. Do the same. Leave a conversation before it loses energy. Let people feel like they need just a little more of you. 3. Make your time conditional. Over-accessibility lowers perceived value. When people have to earn your attention, they respect it more. Instead of saying, "I'm always free," say, "Let me check my schedule." It signals that your time is important. Why this works? People don't value what they see every day. They value what feels just out of reach, and when they start noticing your absence, they start craving your presence. But absence alone isn't enough. You also need to dominate when you show up. Up next, the art of magnetic presence. How to make people instantly respect you. 3. Framing tactics. Control how others interpret you. If you don't define yourself, others will, and they'll often get it wrong. Ever noticed how the same situation can look completely different depending on who is telling the story? Take 2 job candidates. One says, "I'm a hard worker looking for an opportunity." The other says, "I'm an industry specialist who has helped companies double revenue. I choose opportunities where I can make an impact." Who sounds more powerful? It's the same person, but one frames themselves as a seeker, while the other frames themselves as a valuable asset. That's the power of framing. If you don't control your own narrative, people will make assumptions. What is framing? Framing is shaping how others interpret you, your words and your actions. Leaders, politicians, and influencers use it all the time. They don't say, "We lost money." They say, "We made strategic investments for long-term gains." They don't say, "We failed." They say, "We're overcoming challenges with resilience." Same reality, completely different perception. How to control your frame in any situation. 1. Control the labels people use on you. If someone calls you quiet, say, I prefer to observe before I speak. It helps me understand the situation better. If they say you're too serious, say, I take things seriously because I believe in doing them right. If they frame you as a follower, say, I make strategic decisions based on timing. The best leaders know when to wait and when to act. 2. Control the narrative around your actions. If you pause before speaking, people may assume you lack confidence. Reframe it. I believe in precise communication. If you set boundaries, some may call you distant. Say, I focus my energy on what matters most. That's how I stay effective. 3. Define yourself before anyone else can. Before any interaction, ask yourself, how do I want to be perceived? What words should people associate with me? Then subtly reinforce that frame through your tone, speech, and body language. Why this works: people believe the first frame they're given. If you don't define yourself, someone else will. But when you take control of your own perception, people will see you exactly how you want them to. But framing alone isn't enough. You need to make sure people remember you the way you want. Up next, the law of contrast, how to stand out effortlessly. The art of social contrast, how to stand out without trying. People are drawn to what stands apart. The one who blends in becomes invisible. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately noticed someone, even if they weren't trying to grab attention? Maybe they didn't say a word, but something about them made them stand out. That's the law of contrast at work. Humans are wired to notice differences. In a sea of sameness, anything that breaks the pattern demands attention. The problem? Most people try so hard to fit in that they become forgettable. The most influential people aren't the ones who shout the loudest. They're the ones who stand apart effortlessly through presence, confidence, and subtle social contrast. Why contrast is so powerful? Our brains rely on contrast to process information quickly. A white dot on a black background, instantly noticeable. A quiet person in a room full of loud voices, instantly intriguing. A well-dressed man in a room of casual outfits, instantly commands respect. People don't remember the average, they remember the different. If you blend in, you become background noise. But if you contrast, even in small, deliberate ways, you become the most interesting person in the room. How to use social contrast to your advantage. 1. Master the power of silence in a world of noise. Most people talk too much, trying to fill every silence. But a controlled pause makes your words more impactful. If people expect you to react quickly, slow down. If they expect enthusiasm, stay composed. Example: in a debate, instead of instantly responding, take a full 3-second pause. It shifts the energy and forces people to focus on what you're about to say. 2. Dress with intent, but avoid gimmicks. Your appearance should subtly separate you from the majority without being over the top. A tailored jacket in a casual environment, a minimalist high-quality watch when others wear flashy accessories. Small shifts in your style, posture, or grooming create subconscious authority. 3. Control your movements. Less is more. The most commanding people don't fidget, rush, or over-gesture. Instead of trying to occupy space, make deliberate movements, smooth, controlled, intentional. Example: instead of constantly nodding in agreement, keep a neutral expression and nod once when necessary. This makes your approval feel earned rather than automatic. 4. Master contrasting speech patterns. People expect a certain rhythm in conversations. Break it. When others ramble, keep your words short and sharp. When others speak fast, slow down to create authority. If someone asks a loaded question, instead of answering immediately, pause, smile slightly, and respond with a question of your own. Why this works? Social contrast creates an unconscious pull. People can't help but notice and respect what stands apart. But here's the real power move. Once you've made yourself impossible to ignore, you need to make sure people become attached to you emotionally. Up next, I'll show you the law of emotional anchoring, how to make people feel drawn to you without saying a word. 5. Emotional anchoring, how to install emotional responses in people's minds. Emotions are the easiest thing to manipulate. The one who controls emotions controls perception. Imagine this. You meet someone for the first time. They don't say much, yet something about them sticks in your mind. You don't remember exactly what they said, but you remember how they made you feel. That's emotional anchoring, the ability to create an emotional imprint in people's minds so that whenever they think of you, they automatically feel a specific way. This is not random. This is engineered influence. Most people think respect or attraction comes from words and actions. But the real power players in life don't just make you think about them. They make you feel something about them. If you can master how people feel in your presence, you can control how they perceive you forever. Why emotional anchoring is so powerful. The human brain doesn't process memories as neutral facts. It attaches emotions to them. Think about a song that immediately reminds you of a past relationship, a scent that instantly transports you back to childhood, a certain phrase that triggers a deep emotional memory. This is called associative conditioning, and it's the same principle that powerful leaders, charismatic figures, and master manipulators use to shape how people see and remember them. The good news: you can intentionally engineer this effect in your own life. How to apply emotional anchoring in real life. 1. Control the first emotional experience. The first time someone meets you, their brain links that moment to a specific feeling. You must own that first emotional experience by setting the tone: confidence, intrigue, admiration, or even mystery. Example: instead of entering a room passively, take a 2-second pause, scan the space, and move with controlled presence. This micro-movement creates an immediate subconscious anchor of confidence in people's minds. 2. Use voice and eye contact to lock in. Emotional responses. People don't just hear words, they feel tones. When you lower your voice slightly, slow down your words, and use calculated pauses, you create a deeper, stronger imprint on someone's subconscious. How to do this? Want to be perceived as commanding? Speak in low, deliberate tones, and hold eye contact without blinking too much. Want to be seen as intriguing? Speak less, but pause just before revealing key details. This builds anticipation and emotional engagement. Want to be perceived as high value? Instead of filling every silence, let people sit in the pause, making them subconsciously lean in towards you. 3. Create a signature emotional trigger. Every high-impact person has a signature emotional effect that people associate with them. This could be a specific scent, a certain way you greet people, or even a particular phrase. Over time, this becomes a powerful subconscious anchor that reinforces your presence and perception in people's minds. Example: if you consistently speak with measured calmness in intense situations, people will automatically anchor your presence to stability and control, even when you're not there. Why this works? When you master emotional anchoring, you become psychologically unforgettable. Even when you're not in the room, people will still feel your presence in their minds. And when you can control how people feel about you, you control how they see you. But here's where it gets even deeper. What if you could make people reflect back the exact image you want them to see? Up next, I'll show you the ultimate mirror effect. How to make people believe in the image you want to project without forcing it. 6. The ultimate power move. Become someone who cannot be defined. The most dangerous person isn't the strongest. It's the one who cannot be predicted. There's a reason why the most powerful figures in history, from emperors to billionaires, are also the most mysterious. They don't let people fully understand them. They leave questions unanswered. And because of that, they become impossible to define, control, or manipulate. This is the ultimate power move. And if you master it, you become a force that no one can pin down. Why unpredictability is the ultimate weapon. Think about someone you can't quite figure out. They speak less than expected, but when they do, their words carry weight. They don't reveal too much, yet people are drawn to them, trying to understand them. You can't tell if they're thinking ahead or improvising, and that makes them dangerous to underestimate. This is why leaders, strategists, and powerful individuals never let themselves be fully understood. If people think they have you figured out, they'll try to predict and control you. If you remain unreadable, they waste energy trying to define you, while you stay 5 steps ahead. This is why mystery is power. And most people fail at this because they feel the need to explain themselves, overshare, or prove their identity. The strongest people in the room don't seek to be understood. They seek to be respected. And that's exactly what you're about to learn. How to apply this in real life. 1. Don't give people a simple definition of who you are. Most people eagerly define themselves. I'm this type of person. I always do this. I believe in that. But the moment you label yourself too clearly, you give others a fixed perception, and that limits your power. Instead, be adaptable. Let people wonder about you. Example, instead of saying, I always go with logic, say, it depends on the situation. This keeps people guessing, forcing them to pay closer attention to you. 2. Control. What you reveal and what you keep hidden. People who talk too much lose control over their image. The less you reveal up front, the more people fill in the gaps with their own assumptions, and those assumptions make you more intriguing. Practical tactic. When asked a personal question, don't answer it directly. Instead, redirect with a thought-provoking response. What makes you curious about that? This flips the focus back on them, making you harder to define. If someone presses for details, simply smile and say, maybe one day. That unanswered gap creates mystery and power. 3. Become unpredictable. Break patterns to keep people on edge. When people think they can predict you, they stop respecting you. The key is to switch things up without warning. Example, if you're always serious, suddenly add humor. If you're usually reserved, surprise people with a bold move. If people expect you to agree, challenge them. This keeps people on edge, making them hyper-aware of your presence, because they never know what to expect next. Why this works? The moment people think they have you figured out, they stop paying attention. But if you're an enigma, if your actions defy simple categorization, they'll never stop watching, never stop trying to understand you. That gives you control over their perception. And when you own how people see you, you own the room. But here's the final question. How do you make all these strategies feel effortless so that people don't even realize you're doing them? Up next, I'll show you how to make people respect you. Without saying a word, where I break down the body language, micro-expressions, and energy shifts that instantly make people see you as someone they can't ignore. We've covered 6 powerful strategies to manipulate perception and control how people see you. Now, let's bring it all together. The most powerful person in the room is not the smartest or the loudest. It's the one who controls the narrative. People don't see reality. They see what you allow them to see. To recap, perception is a weapon. Control how people interpret you, and you control how they treat you. The power of absence. Scarcity creates value. Your presence must be earned, not given freely. Framing tactics. Define yourself before others do it for you. The art of social contrast. Stand out in a way that makes you unforgettable. Emotional anchoring. Control emotions, and you control perception. The ultimate power move. Be unpredictable. Never let people fully understand you. Power is not about proving yourself. It's about shaping perception so others naturally respect and gravitate toward you. Now, if you want to take this even further, I've got something for you. In the next video, I'll break down the advanced strategies that separate those who influence from those who are controlled. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, perception is power. Control it or be controlled.